Hi guys, I wanted to make a follow-up video to my last video that I made, which was about Stoicism. Stoicism and how being Stoic is the cure to not just depression and anxiety, but mental illness. I just want to make a follow-up video to that. There was a few things that came to mind that I really didn't touch on in the last video. Um, and that has to do with male loneliness and social anxiety. Male loneliness and social anxiety in men is really, really bad. I hit on the anxiety and stuff, but I didn't really, uh, you know, I wanted to go a little deeper about male loneliness and social anxiety. When we talk about why men are struggling, like for instance in dating and stuff like that, we have to, a lot of people think it's, a lot of people blame women for it, that their standards are too high and, they're, uh, you know, they're whores and all this other stuff. But I really don't think that's the reason. I think women are like that because men are letting them be like that. It's our job to put them in check. At the end of the day, like I said in my previous videos, it's a lack of masculinity. The men who are leading the world, who are leading the country, are allowing this to happen, are allowing women to act the way that they're acting and things like that. Some of this stuff I think is good. Like, I don't think feminism is inherently wrong or evil. Even sexual revolution, I think that we do need more sexual freedom. But it's gone too far, obviously. And, a lot of people blame feminism for why dating is messed up. People aren't getting married. But I really do think that this comes back to men, honestly. And I know that, society loves blaming men for everything. And I'm not saying necessarily that men are evil. On the contrary, I think it's the opposite problem. I think that there are too many passive men. There are too many docile men, so much so that we refuse to rise up against the men who are actually creating the problems and doing something about it, which is understandable. I think we need God to do something, to actually do something about it, and most men just don't have God, and I think that's the main issue. We need God in order to cultivate genuine masculinity. But going back to the point of what the video is about, which is male loneliness and social anxiety, how so many men suffer from male loneliness and social anxiety. And I wanted to bring this back to Stoicism as well. Because I said in my last video, if you didn't watch it, I don't think anyone did, but it's what it is. You know, I'm not going to give up and keep trying here. But in any case, go watch it if you come to this video and you watch it. I talk about Stoicism and how Stoicism is just, it's just impassivity, which is, it's being impassible, which is the idea that it just means without passions. It's having no passions, no emotions, unfeeling. And that the cure to our anxieties and depression and even mental illnesses and things like that is Stoicism, because Stoicism says we shouldn't have feelings, that we need to condition our emotions out of us as men. Not so much for women, but men definitely. Because if we become more stoic, we won't suffer from social anxiety and we won't feel lonely. We feel lonely and have anxiety because we are too emotional, because we are not stoic. And so there needs to be a system in which men are conditioned to be emotionless and stoic and act upon pure reason and logic alone. And so the cure to male loneliness and anxiety and social anxiety is Stoicism. social anxiety is a really, really big one. A lot of men have suffer from social anxiety to a point where it makes it very, very difficult for them to attract women. Um, they can be very weird and awkward, not just with women, but also with other men. And it can be hard for a lot of men to make friends because of their anxiety. And um, the cure to that is, again, I keep saying it, it's stoicism. We should not have emotions. And when it comes to loneliness and male loneliness, um, our desire for a woman particularly, and friends, that loneliness, feeling that loneliness. Um, Stoicism is the cure to that as well. We won't feel lonely if we are stoic. Okay, so we won't suffer. Stoicism eliminates suffering. It is emotional suffering. It is the answer to emotional suffering. It is the cure to emotional suffering. It is what will eliminate emotional suffering, essentially. That's how powerful I think true stoicism is. Again, a lot of people don't truly understand. Some people think it's men hiding their emotions. No, it's not men hiding their emotions. It's men not having them. It's men being impassive, not passive, but impassible. That just means without passions. It's men not having them. It's men being unfeeling and acting upon pure reason. That's what Stoicism is at its essence. And that is the cure. And our society does not condition men to be that way. And that is why men feel lonely and suffer from anxiety, social anxiety as well. And it's hard for them to make friends, and it's hard for them to talk to girls and women and all this stuff. It's because we're not stoic. Again, it really is the answer, and it really is the cure. And only God can truly teach us how to be that way as men. Only He can cultivate true masculinity and stoicism within us. We can try to cultivate it ourselves. It is possible to condition it within men, technically without God, but technically it's possible. But God would have to be involved in some kind of way, because our society, modernity, our modern era is so soft and weak and domesticated. So many men, so many people look at the Bible, when you look at the Old Testament, and you look at all the so-called atrocities that God commanded the Israelites to do. He went into the land, commanded them to go into the land of Canaan and kill every man, woman, and child, and animal in the land of Canaan, every infant. And people look at that and they say, "Oh, that's so evil. That's so evil. God is such an evil God. How could He do that?" And things like that. But the reality is that the way the world was in biblical times, especially in Old Testament times particularly, is completely antithetical to the way it is now, to how we glorify moral virtues and duties and obligations. Moral virtues, duties, and obligations are not given to us by God. And I'm going to make a video about that here in the future, about morality and God. But it's not given to us by God. Morality is actually satanic. And again, I won't get too much into that here, but morality makes us soft and weak and docile and it domesticates us, and it civilizes us, and it causes us to think that we need to have emotions, that it's virtuous to have emotions, and things like that. And that's what's making us weak. It's morality that's making us weak. Again, I don't want to get too much into that. I'm going to make a video on that. But modernity, the problem with it is the social norms, the social conditioning that teaches us to value moral virtues. When you look at the Old Testament and the way things were in biblical times, say what you want about it. Men at that time, they were probably a lot happier. Okay? Um, it was violent and things like that, yes, but people, they were free. They had freedom. And today in modernity, we don't have freedom. We are constrained, restricted. We are held back by modern ideas of good and being a good man, which doesn't get us anywhere. Being a good man doesn't get us anywhere. Good men have never done any good for the world. Good men have never changed the world for the better. The men who have changed the world have not been good men. The men who have impacted the world have not been good men. It's been men who were willing to do evil things or bad things, evil things, to stop the evil men. They were willing to do whatever it took. Those are the men who make a real impact. But modernity today suppresses that instinct within us. It suppresses that. It demonizes it. It says, no, that you can't be that way. You got to be like this, it's like we got to be like Superman, this unrealistic hero who has these strict morals, and he never violates them in a world full of evil men, and he thinks he can make the world a better place and still stick to his morals. And even though that's nice, okay, to think about, it's not realistic. And everybody knows that. Everybody knows that Superman is not realistic in the sense of his philosophy, that it doesn't work. And when you look at the Old Testament, God, he wasn't trying to be some Superman. He wasn't trying to be some moral, upright, standing being that stood on moral virtues, at least what we consider to be moral virtues today, to save the world. That's not how he saved the world. Okay, he didn't have the Superman. He didn't take the Superman approach. He did what needed to be done, what was necessary. And he's seen good and evil as a tool to be used, not something that necessarily should be valued. And so, in any case, I don't want to get too much into the moral thing yet in this video, but it was just about loneliness and social anxiety. And if you're suffering from that as a man, just know there is a cure, and it is the Lord, and the Lord can teach you how to be stoic and help you cultivate masculinity. And it's important to seek him and go after him. And it's another video I want to make in the future about how do we find God, how do we find him. But yeah, so stoicism is the answer to all of men's emotional problems. All of our problems, really, just in general, to be honest with you. It would solve so many problems that men are going through. So many. And being stoic, it would actually make you more attractive. It wouldn't just, it's not just this thing where it's like, oh, you're stoic now, so you don't feel lonely, and so you're good. but you still don't have a girl. you know, no. Being stoic is actually attractive to women. Women like stoic men. Women like men who, they tell us, oh, men need to express their feelings, but they don't like that stuff. Okay, they don't like that crap. All right, that's bull crap. It's a bunch of bull crap. So women like stoic men. They like men who are impassive, impassible, um, because men like that are strong. And can you imagine a man who's like that? He's unfazed by any circumstance in his life emotionally. He just does what he needs to do and what is best, what is beneficial, and nothing can stop him. Feelings do not get in the way, cannot get in the way. Nothing can affect him emotionally, and he just keeps pushing forward no matter how much hardship there is. That is the stoic man, and those are the kind of men that women want and are attracted to. And so it's not just that, oh, you won't be lonely anymore or have no, it's going to make you more attractive to women and even to other men. Men will, in a sense, that men will respect you more for being stoic because you're going to seem strong. You're going to be able to handle anything that comes your way. And so it can even get you women. Okay, not just eliminate your emotional suffering and distress. It can get you women. Get you a girl, man. That's how important I think I think stoicism is the single most important quality that a man can have. I think that it, in some ways, is the embodiment of masculinity, other than a man being someone who, fights against the evil men in the world, which is what masculinity is too. Evil men using evil to stop the evil in the world, using evil for good. But it's also stoicism. And those two things, men, those two things are not things that men embody. It's something that I'm working to embody and I'm going towards to embody. But men do not embody that. But I think those are the two ideas, are the embodiment of what masculinity is. So yeah, tell me what you think about that. Comment below. Share this video, subscribe, like if you like this video, and leave a comment. Let me know what else you want me to talk about and give me ideas. So yeah, have a good day.